Okay, let's start with running in place. Punches, jab, cross, hook, uppercut. Keep your feet moving, keep your hands up. Keep your weight forward. So your back heel is off the floor. You don't want to lean forward, that offers your face, but you want your weight forward so that you can move easily. And now we're going to shuffle in a box. Keep your hands up, side, back, side, front, and then go the other way. Knees. Make sure that you keep the standing leg bent. Other side. And ladder steps. And if you forgot to start your watch like I did, start it now. Kicks, front, side, back. Okay, so that was 6 exercises. Run in place. Punches, shuffle, knees, ladder steps, and kicks. 30 seconds each, 2 more times through, and then after you do it, come back and stretch. Okay, so once you've done your 3 times through, reach up, reach over to one side. Other side. And straight up to the front. Reach for the floor. Keep your chin up. Over to one side, grab your ankle, pull your chest to your knee. Down in a side stretch, both heels are on the floor. If you want more stretch, put this elbow inside your knee and push the knee open. Turn, stretch your hip flexor. Make sure that your ankle is out past your knee, not tucked in here like this. Straighten out your legs. All my toes are facing in the same direction. My chin is up, my back is flat. I reach my chest toward my front knee. That stretches this hamstring. Also stretches this calf a little bit. Come to the center, toes straight forward, push your knees out. Other side, grab your ankle. Make sure your chin is up. Downward side stretch. And turn, stretch your hip flexor. Straighten out your legs. Toes all in that direction, chin up, back flat, chest to your knees, stretch your hamstring. And then have a seat. One foot out in front of you, pull the other foot across the knee. If you can tuck this foot and still keep your whole butt on the floor, do it. If you can't, if you have one side of your one hip up when you do that, keep the leg extended. Whichever knee is up, take the opposite elbow, put it outside the knee, and push the knee across. Other side. Okay, feet out. Make sure your chin is up and your toes are pointed up. If you roll your toes in, you're not getting much of a stretch. So chin is up, reach your elbows toward the floor. Pull your feet in closer, still elbows to the floor. And bring your feet together and reach your hands as far out as they'll go. You don't want your toes pointed. Toes should be pulled back, chin should be up. So you're not here, but you're here. Pull your feet in, heels are on the floor. Rock back and forth. Then put your hands on the floor and straighten out your legs. Okay, so we're going to start with squat lunge. When you do a lunge, you want to make sure, I generally step back when I do a lunge. You can step forward if you want to, but I find it's easier to get myself in the proper position for this knee if I step back. You want your knee over your ankle. If you have your knee out here and your ankle tucked behind it, that puts a lot of stress on your knee. So you want to step back here far enough that this is straight up and down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go squat, lunge, squat, lunge, squat, lunge, squat, lunge. Okay, then I'm going to have a seat. And I'm going to put my hands way up here, not back here behind my hips, but way up here in front of my hips. Out far enough that they're not bumping into my body. Then I put my feet flat on the floor and lift my butt up in the air so my back is in tabletop. This is called tabletop. You're going to keep your feet where they are. You're not going to let your butt touch the floor. You're going to pull back to an L sit. So forward, lift your hips, and push them back. Okay, and the last one is called a sit out. Put yourself here, hands and feet are on the floor. It's not a plank like you would do a push-up. My butt's way in the air. So I can pick one hand up, touch the opposite foot. The foot that I'm touching is gonna shoot through the hole that I made when I picked my hand up. Then I bring it back, and I go the other way. Okay, so we did squat lunge, we did tabletop to L sit, and we did sit outs. We did 30 seconds of each one. I want you to do one more set, 30 more seconds of each one. Okay, we're working on intensity, and we're going to talk about kicks right now. So the parts of the kicks that need to be there. Intensity has nothing to do with being loud. It has nothing to do with showing a mean face. It has to do with, primarily with martial intent, but in order to hit something hard enough for it to do good, you also have to hit correctly. That means proper stance, proper chamber, re-chamber, hitting the right part of the target with the right part of your body, the right part of your foot, or the right part of your hand. So right now I want you to grab a chair, and we're going to do front kicks. Okay, so you're going to hold on to the chair. You can take your standing foot, it's pointing almost straight forward. I have just a tiny bit off to one side. You're going to bring your knees straight up, and you're going to push. Okay, so I'm going to put it this way so you can see. I'm not going flick. There's no power there. Okay, if you don't know a lot about karate and you're watching, I don't know, tricking without traditional karate in it, that looks cool because it's kicking high, but it's not useful. The useful part of this comes from the power, and the power comes from the push, from the rotation from the backup mass. So you bring your knee up, push, re-chamber, and bring it down. You're hitting with the ball of your foot. You're never hitting with the tips of your toes. If you have shoes on and you can't bend your foot back like that, then it's okay to hit with the whole bottom of your foot. Okay, so we're going to do 10 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we're going to do 10 on the other side. 1, 2, 3. I don't think I started my watch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing with roundhouse kicks. Now, when you do a roundhouse kick, you want your standing foot to be facing away from the target. So if my target's there right now, the foot I'm standing on, toes have to be facing that way. I'm going to pick my knee up, so my knee is facing the target. It's not here. That, if I change the position of my foot, that's a side kick chamber. The roundhouse kick chamber is here. I think roundhouse is what we want to be doing. No, we're not even going to do roundhouse kicks. Never mind, put that away. We're going to do crescent kicks. Okay, crescent kick comes off a front kick chamber. We're going to do 3 kicks that all come off the crescent kick chamber. That all come off the front kick chamber. So we're going to do a crescent kick first. The kick comes up here. You open your hip, and then you're going to circle and bring it in. So I'm going to bring my foot up, circle, foot comes up, back to the knee and in. So the circle, your knee comes straight up. You don't bring it out here. It comes straight up, opens a little bit, circles. Ideally, you're hitting with this outside leg of your foot. I don't have enough flexibility in my hips or my ankles to get around that far. So when I do this kick, I tend to hit with the flat of the bottom of my foot. But we're going to do 5 of these on each side right now. 1, 2, 3. So the rotation comes from my hip turning. 4, 5. And then we're going to do 5 on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then we're going to do one more. The last one we're going to do is an axe kick. This also comes off of a front kick chamber, but your knee's going to swing the other way. When we did the crescent kick, your knee came up here, and you open it a little bit, and you close. When you do the axe kick, you're going to bring your knee straight up, you're going to close a little bit, and open on the kick. There is no re-chamber. Okay, this is one kick where high is really useful, because a lot of the power in this kick comes from backup mass, the weight of your leg dropping into the target. So if it's hitting somebody in the bridge of the nose or the collarbone, you can break it. But you're going to bring your knee up, come across, open, and drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to do 5 on the other side. 1, nose, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then you're going to get rid of your chair. And you're going to get a partner. And a focus pad would be ideal. If you don't have a focus pad, you can use their hand, you can use a pillow, you can use a piece of paper with a target drawn on it. Okay, but they're going to hold the target out for you. Okay, so if we're starting off, say, with the front kick, they would hold the target, you need a piece of paper. Okay, they would hold the target out here like this. And you're going to stand, so they're holding it here, you're going to kick, they're going to put a circle on it, and you're going to kick right into the center of that target. Ball of your foot into the center of that target 10 times on each side. Then for the crescent kick, you can use the same bit of target, but they're going to hold it out to you like this. So you're going to bring your knee up and hit with the bottom of your foot to the target, 10 on each side. Then for the axe kick, they're going to hold it here. Okay, if you're holding a focus pad, normally you hold it so it's on the front of your hand. You don't want to do that if you're throwing an axe kick because that can hyperextend your elbow if you get hit hard. So if you're holding a pad, you want to put it on the back of your hand so your arm and don't hold it here, hold it out here so your arm swings back. But they're going to hold for the axe kick, and you're going to hit with your heel into the target 10 times on each leg. Okay, so that's what I need you to do for the second half of your warm-up, talking about intensity, thinking about doing it correctly so it works. Okay, this whole month we're talking about intensity. This week we're talking about intensity in forms. And particularly if you started in the kids class or if you watch your kids take class, especially if they're tigers or dragons, they think that intensity has got something to do with noise and mean faces. It really has nothing to do with either one of those things. It's got to do with hitting something hard enough and properly enough that it would work as self-defense. Every form we do is a way of taking self-defense, stringing it together so we can practice it. If what you're doing isn't stable enough or strong enough or focused enough to do damage when it hits, there's no intensity, there's no martial intent. Okay, so I'm gonna run through all the forms for this cycle. Some of them I'll do facing you, some of them I'll do facing backwards, so that you're getting both ways. From each group, I'll do one in each direction. But I want you to think on each one about doing it properly. No sloppy stances. Make sure you have the chamber, the reach chamber. Make sure you understand what you're hitting. What you're thinking about hitting doesn't necessarily have to be what I'm thinking about hitting, but you gotta pick that target and visualize that you're hitting it hard enough that you're gonna stop the person. So we're starting with basic form 1. Okay, so if you're a white belt, that's one of your forms. If you're a white belt, your other form is basic form 2, and I'll do this one facing this way, so if it's easier for you to follow along, you've got one of each. Okay, so if you're a white belt, those are all the forms you have. So I'm going to tell you what I want you guys to do with your forms now. And then I'll do the rest of the forms. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to set a timer for 10 minutes. And I want you to start at basic form 1. And if all you know is 1 and 2, I want you to do 1 and 2 over and over and over and over, alternating them with as much intensity as you can until the timer stops. If you know 4 of the forms that we're doing, you're going to alternate the 4 of them over and over through the 10 minutes. If you know 6 of them, all 6 of them, and if you're a Dan, all 6 of the open hand forms plus Shinjin Insu, as many times as you can get in that 10 minutes with intensity without being sloppy. Okay, so if you're an orange belt or a blue belt, your forms for this cycle are basic form 3 and Pyongan Shodan. So we start here with basic form 3. I don't want to run my toes into the bricks. And the other form for the beginners is Pyongan Shodan. Am I in the picture? Okay, so if you're a beginner, you take those, you set the timer, and off you go. If you're in the advanced class, green, brown, red, you have 2 forms. The first one is Pyongan Samdan. Backing up because there's a cabinet in the way. And the second one is Pyongan Oinan, which I'll do the other way. Okay, so if you're a gut, set your timer and practice those. If you're a black belt, get your house bow, and we're also going to do Shinjin Insu. It's really hard to be intense when the bow is too short to hit anything. Okay, so 10 minutes through all your forms with intensity. Okay, so now it's time for self-defense. However, this week we're talking about intensity in forms. Okay, but I want you just to bear with me for a second. Okay, you guys, when you were in, I don't know, preschool or kindergarten, you learned the alphabet song. You never use the alphabet in order except when you're teaching your kids the alphabet form. But what it does is it gives you tools that you can pull out and use in whatever order you need to make words. Well, when you do form, you're doing the same thing. Okay, so when you're learning basic form 1, you're learning Chingle Chassi, you're learning Soko Rip Chassi as a transitional stance, you're learning low block, you're learning center punch, you're learning 3/4 turn. You're not going to use them. You're not going to stand in Chingle Chassi and follow someone 3 times with a Chingle Chassi and punch them in the solar plexus. However, you've learned a whole mess of techniques there that you can then pull out to build other self-defenses with. So your forms are just like the alphabet song. Okay, but what we're going to do now is we're going to take some self-defense and we're going to make it into little forms. So same thing, we're going to take some pieces that you can practice and we're going to put them together as a form. Okay, so we're going to start with a front choke. Okay, so the front choke is just a choke with a pluck. So the things that we're going to use here as our letters in our alphabet song of our self-defense are, as the person chokes me, I'm going to step back into a ready stance, basically. My hands are going to come up. I'm going to do a pluck. So you've already learned ready. You practiced your ready stance. You practice the pluck. You practice your instep kick. You're going to practice a jab and a cross and a hook and a rising elbow and a knee and a side kick. And then you're going to practice getting away. Okay, then you're going to do that as if it was a form. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing with a choke from the side. So somebody chokes me. I set my weight into a stable, ready stance. I'm going to bring my hand up. So I'm practicing my ready stance here. I bring my hand up. I'm practicing a pluck. I'm practicing a rising elbow. I'm going to practice an elbow coming across and a punch. I'm going to practice a clinch and a knee and a jab cross and a get out of the way, which is, it's in the kids self-defense program. But in the adult program, you want to make sure the person's done before you get away, but it's still an important part of your self-defense. If they get away, they can't hit you again. So we'll do that as if it was a form. Okay, then we're going to do it with a choke, a rear wall choke. So as if the person pushed you up against the wall. So they push you up against the wall. You're going to practice bringing your hands up to protect your face. You practice bringing your arm up so that your bicep is to the ear. What you're practicing here is a wrist lock. You're going to practice rotation, back up mass, and a descending elbow. Then you're going to practice jab, cross, knee, front kick. Okay, so we're going to do that as if it was a form. Okay, so I want you to take those 3 little forms we just made. I want you to think about what techniques you're practicing in each one, and I want you to practice each one of them 3 times. Okay, single stick. We're working on intensity. So what needs to happen is you need to understand what part of your the person that you are hitting and what part of your stick you're hitting with. Okay, you've got this stick. It makes your arms 2 feet longer than it is. So if you hit them with this part of the stick, you're not using the advantage you have by making your arms 2 feet longer. You want to hit them with this part at the end of the stick. Okay, so I'm not holding way down here. That doesn't give me much leverage. I hold here so that there's room to put one more hand at the bottom. Number 1, it gives me leverage. Number 2, it gives me, I can use the other end of the stick. I can use it to hit. I can use it to grab and pull. Okay, but we're going to start here, single stick. Make sure you're covering your head. This is not covering your head. This is not covering your head. This is covering your head. I have it angled down because if I have it angled here and their stick hits here and it slides down, it's gonna hit my fingers. But if I bring it this way and it hits here, it's gonna slide down into the air. So I'm gonna step forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so just like we did with the forms, just like we did with our self-defenses, I want you to practice this as if it was a self-defense. So, I mean, as if it was a form. So I'm going to face this way. Okay, so I want you to do that 3 times. 1 time, really slow, thinking about where your stances are, what part of your stick you're hitting with, what part of the target, the person or their weapon you're hitting. 2nd time, crank it up a little bit in speed and power. 3rd time, full speed, full power. Okay, with 2 sticks, I'm gonna mess with you a little bit as far as making it into a form. Okay, so we're gonna start at the beginning, just like we did. Chumbi, chariya, kinyet, chumbi. Then we're going to fall back into our guard stance and we're going to go through 1 time just as it normally is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 'kay? Then we're going to do it again, and after each set of stick, we're going to do a front kick. So 1, okay, I got my sticks up, I'm protecting my head. 2, 3, 4, 'kay? I want you to do that with the front kick. I want you to do it again with a roundhouse kick, and I want you to do it again with a side kick. Okay, sai actually is a form. So when you practice your sai, I want you to do this as if you were competing in a tournament. I would really hope that if you were competing in a tournament, you wouldn't just be going through the motions. I also would hope that if you're competing in a tournament, you're not so freaked out by the judges and the audience that you just do the whole thing full speed without breathing, without putting any stances in it, without putting any phrases in it. Okay, I want to see the phrases. I want each one of them to be intense through the phrase. So we start here. Okay, so if you want that one to be really realistic, do it as if you were doing it at a tournament. Come up, introduce yourself to the judges. Good morning, judges. Mrs. Petsching told me I had to show you this form. This is my side form. I'm supposed to be showing you intensity. Do it that way at least 3 times through with as much intensity as if you were doing it at a tournament. Okay, dagger form for the black belts. It's really easy to be intense when you're doing the dagger form because you can think about what you're hitting. And when you visualize the blood and the body parts flying around the room, it's very easy to think about intensity. Okay, so we're just going to run through it 1 time. So we start here. This is my favorite part, this next 2 phrases. Think about hitting hard. hard to get a side kick in there. There isn't quite enough space. Okay, 3 times through. Hit as hard as you can.